GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, Montreal. I'm CJ Waterhouse. Heavy rains have flooded hundreds of homes across the region, and we're tracking moderate traffic delays as construction bites. Later, Pop Montreal will host a free National Indigenous Peoples Day concert. Over to you, Jeff.
Pop Montreal is presenting a free outdoor concert today, celebrating National Indigenous Peoples Day, featuring local Indigenous artists and cultural performances on St. Catherine Street.
The event begins at noon, runs until 4 o'clock, and includes a drum circle, storytelling sessions, and a collaborative art installation near the historic market.
Admission is free with public transit passes accepted at nearby metro stations, wheelchair-accessible stages, and designated family-friendly zones throughout the venue.
Plenty of stories ahead, but first we'll dive into today's happenings, community events, and local highlights. Let's begin together. Tonight, a sweeping transit overhaul will hit the streets after Council's decisive vote, promising faster commutes and cleaner air for every Montreal commuter.
Torrential rains hammered the greater Montreal area today, sending water into dozens of streets and swamping hundreds of residences. Emergency crews responded to flooded basements and ground floor units across multiple boroughs, urging occupants to move valuables to higher ground and to contact insurers. The deluge, described by meteorologists as unusually intense for early summer, follows a pattern of rising flood risk in the province. Data from Quebec's insurance regulator show that the average cost of flood-related claims has risen by 127.7% between 2014 and 2024, more than doubling in that decade. Officials say the surge in claim costs reflects both more frequent extreme weather events and higher property values in vulnerable zones. Residents are advised to monitor weather alerts and to avoid low-lying routes while repairs begin.
Town officials in Terrace Vaudreuil have taken an unprecedented step, formally acknowledging trees as living beings with legal rights. The resolution, adopted today, creates a framework that treats each tree as an entity entitled to protection under municipal law. Council members said the move aims to safeguard the community's green canopy and set a precedent for environmental stewardship across the region. Under the new policy, any development that threatens a tree will require a specific assessment of its rights, and violations could trigger fines or restoration orders. Advocates hope the measure will inspire neighboring towns to consider similar protections, while some residents voiced concerns about potential delays in construction projects. The decision places Terrace Vaudreuil at the forefront of a growing movement to grant nature legal standing. Quebec's Environmental Ministry welcomed the initiative, noting it aligns with recent discussions on expanding ecological rights in the province.
Following a spate of lethal freight truck collisions on provincial routes, the Quebec chief coroner has ordered a public inquiry. The investigation, launched in October 2025, will run concurrently with ongoing legislative reforms aimed at tightening truck safety standards. Officials say the inquiry will examine the circumstances of each fatal incident, assess driver training, vehicle maintenance, and enforcement practices, and recommend measures to prevent further loss of life. The province has already pledged to strengthen inspection regimes and improve road signage, but the coroner's move signals a broader push to address systemic weaknesses. Families of victims and safety advocates have welcomed the independent review, hoping it will yield concrete actions. The inquiry's findings are expected to be presented to the provincial government later this year. A final report is slated for release before the end of the calendar year, providing the government with data-driven recommendations.
Quebec announced Tuesday that an independent overseer will monitor the Montreal Police Service's probe into racism allegations at Station 39. The province appointed lawyer Ian Lafreniere, with former Deputy Minister Anne-Marie Boisfort serving as his deputy, to ensure the inquiry remains impartial. The move follows a wave of complaints alleging racial bias within the precinct. Officials said the overseer will receive regular reports, audit investigative procedures, and recommend corrective actions if needed. Quebec's Justice Minister emphasized that transparent oversight is essential to restore public confidence in law enforcement. The SPVM confirmed it will cooperate fully with the appointed team and provide access to all relevant documents. The overseer is expected to deliver a preliminary findings report within 3 months, followed by a final assessment later in the year. The appointment marks the first province-wide effort to independently supervise a municipal police racism investigation.
René Verret announced yesterday he will not run as the Quebec Liberal Party candidate in the Louis Hebert riding. The lawyer had been officially nominated by the party earlier this year to contest the upcoming provincial election. Party officials confirmed the withdrawal but did not provide a reason for the decision. The Liberal caucus said it will convene to select a replacement candidate before the filing deadline. Louis Hebert, a suburban district on the island's southwest edge, remains a key battleground in the election calendar. The announcement comes as parties across the province finalize their slates ahead of the campaign launch expected in the coming weeks. The party's provincial secretary indicated the selection process will follow internal rules and that the new nominee will be announced publicly once chosen. Election officials have set the final candidate filing deadline for mid-July, leaving limited time for a replacement campaign rollout.
Later we'll dig into the $40,000 medical equipment stolen from a Montreal hospital and more top stories. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's dive into the headlines you care about, starting with our local stories presented by Jeff Laflamme right after this.
Victoire announced Saturday that it has re-signed two Quebec-born forwards, Jade Downey-Landry and Alexandre Lebel, extending their stay ahead of the Professional Women's Hockey League season. At the same time, the Toronto Scepters secured veteran forward Jamie Lee Rattray on a 2-year deal, adding experience to their lineup. The moves mark a flurry of contract activity as clubs fine-tune rosters for the upcoming campaign. Downey-Landry and Lebel, both products of local development programs, will continue to showcase their speed and scoring ability for Victoire, a factor that should interest fans who follow homegrown talent. Rattray, a former Olympian, brings a track record of clutch performances that the Scepters hope will translate into early points. The league's schedule kicks off in the fall, giving supporters ample time to track how these additions shape team dynamics, and perhaps a reason to glance at the scoreboard after lunch.
A theft at Sacré-Cœur Hospital in Montreal has resulted in the loss of surgical equipment valued at approximately $40,000. The incident occurred in the hospital's operating block during May 2026. Hospital officials confirmed that a range of medical supplies, including devices used in procedures, were taken from secured storage areas. Quebec police have opened an investigation and are reviewing security footage to identify the individuals responsible. Hospital administration said the missing items are essential to patient care and that steps are being taken to reinforce inventory controls while the investigation proceeds. The case adds to concerns about security at major healthcare facilities in the province. Police have not released further details pending the ongoing inquiry.
On June 20th, the Quebec Health Agency announced that candidates for executive roles at its establishments must complete extensive pre-employment questionnaires. The forms delve into personal mental health history and eating disorder issues before any hiring decision is made. Santé Québec says the screening is intended to ensure workplace safety and employee well-being. Critics, however, have labeled the questions highly intrusive, arguing that the scope exceeds typical job-related inquiries. The new requirement applies to all senior-level applications across the province, and the agency has indicated that compliance will be monitored during the selection process. Employers are now tasked with handling the additional documentation, while applicants must disclose sensitive health information as a condition of consideration. The agency stresses that the data will remain confidential, accessible only to a limited review panel, and positions the questionnaire within a broader leadership assessment program launched earlier this year.
Public health officials in Quebec confirmed a surge in raccoon rabies cases across the countryside south and east of the city. The latest data, released on June 19th, show the virus spreading faster than earlier reports. Rabies is a fatal disease that can move from infected wildlife to both people and household animals, prompting health authorities to urge vigilance. Residents who encounter raccoons or notice unusual behavior are advised to avoid direct contact and to report sightings to local services. Veterinarians are on alert and pet owners are being reminded to keep vaccinations up to date. The escalation follows a pattern of seasonal wildlife movement, increasing the chance that pets roaming yards or children playing outdoors could be exposed. Authorities will continue monitoring the situation and updating the public as new information emerges.
On June 19th, Robert Monette stepped into a new chapter when he moved into a rent-subsidized unit within a city-backed housing project aimed at people leaving homelessness. The development comprises 18 apartments, each paired with free on-site counseling to assist residents as they rebuild stability. Monette, who spent years navigating the streets, now has a fixed address and access to professional support in the same building. Officials say the model is intended to smooth the transition from shelter to permanent housing, offering both affordable rent and immediate help with employment, health, and social services. Counselors are on the premises Monday through Friday, providing guidance on budgeting, job search, and mental health, all at no charge to the tenants. For Monette, the move marks a concrete step toward long-term independence.
Now let's check your afternoon outlook with our weather team for Montreal.
A gentle cloud-dotted noon settles over Montreal, setting the stage for today's weather conversation as we listen. On this day, the city once sweltered to a record high of 33.7 degrees Celsius back in 2020, a spike that rode the tail of a summer heat wave across the province. The cold side of history saw a record low of 10.4 degrees Celsius in 2014, when an Arctic blast nudged temperatures well below the usual winter baseline. By comparison, our climate normals for late June hover around a high of 24 and a low of 15 degrees, giving today a modest feel against those extremes. Right now, the sky is partly cloudy, and the temperature reads 21 degrees Celsius, with humidity around 82% and a gentle breeze from the west at 18 kilometers per hour. At noon, the clouds thicken, making it overcast and cooling to about 20 degrees. By mid-afternoon, the mercury climbs back to 21, still under cloud cover, and the wind reaches a modest 22 kilometers per hour from the southwest. Evening brings a drop to 18 as the clouds stay thick and sunset arrives just before 9. The ultraviolet index is 6, so a light sunscreen is wise for any outdoor plans. No rain is expected, but a severe thunderstorm watch covers Montreal Island and nearby areas, so stay alert for sudden lightning. That concludes our noon outlook as we turn to the 5-day stretch. Looking ahead, Monday will see a high of 24 and a low of 15, with overcast skies and an 80% chance of rain, so keep that umbrella handy. Tuesday brightens a bit with a clear sky, the same high of 24, a low of 16 and a modest 25% chance of showers, making it a pleasant day for a stroll. Wednesday remains similar, clear and warm at 24 high and 16 low, with only a 20% chance of a stray shower. Thursday brings another overcast stretch, high 24, low 17, and a 40% chance of rain in the afternoon. Finally, Friday stays warm at 24 high and 18 low, but light rain returns with a 60% likelihood, so a light jacket and raincoat might be useful. Overall, the week stays comfortably warm with a few rain windows to plan around.
Traffic faces delays, Pop Montreal's free Indigenous Peoples Day concert tonight, and Carey Price may enter the Hall of Fame. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
The biggest hit to the midday flow is the Viger Tunnel, where a major hindrance is forcing traffic onto the southbound lanes of Autoroute 15 and adding a 5-minute delay for commuters heading toward downtown. A reduced height clearance in the Louis-Hippolyte Lafontaine Tunnel follows, meaning trucks must reroute and drivers can expect a similar slowdown on Boulevard St. Laurent. Across the river, the Pont de l'Isle aux Tourtes is also under a major hindrance, pushing vehicles onto the Autoroute 40 detour and extending travel times between Vaudreuil-Dorion and Senneville. The Victoria Bridge and Pont Clement are likewise congested, each adding roughly 3 to 4 minutes to crossing times between the island and the South Shore. On the east side, Autoroute 520 near Highway 25 sees a minor hindrance, but traffic remains steady. Construction continues on Route 116 between St. Bruno de Monterville and Longueuil, with resurfacing that slows eastbound traffic during the afternoon. Bayers Road bus lane work forces a detour, but the impact is limited to the immediate block. All transit services are operating normally, with no reported delays.
Pop Montreal is turning Cabot Square into a celebration for National Indigenous Peoples Day with a free concert today, a chance to hear emerging artists and support Indigenous voices. The event partners with Resilience Montreal and the Native Women's Shelter, so your presence helps community outreach. Across town, Cirque du Soleil's Echo exhibition has set up inside Time Out Market, offering an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the troupe's artistry for anyone craving a visual feast. For food lovers, the legendary Dobie and Andy stall has opened inside the market, serving its famed Cantonese barbecue that's become a Chinatown institution. It's a perfect indoor escape, especially as the rain drifts through downtown. Meanwhile, Les Premiers Vendredis is back for its monthly street food blowout, gathering more than 40 food trucks and live entertainment with free admission, turning the city's streets into a culinary playground. Whether you're hunting a bite or a beat, today's lineup makes Montreal impossible to ignore. And now here's Jason with sports.
Here's the latest on Montreal's hockey moves and upcoming milestones. Montreal's front office is eyeing 3 forward prospects they could select with the 28th overall pick in next year's draft. Meanwhile, the Victoire added free agent Jesse Eldridge and re-signed forwards Jade Downey-Landry and Alexandre Labelle, while Nicolas Deslauriers secured a 2-year extension. The Hockey Hall of Fame will announce its new class Monday afternoon, and Montreal fans hope longtime netminder Carey Price is among the inductees. In related news, the Victoire also re-signed forwards Kaitlyn Willifby and Nadia Matt, bolstering depth ahead of the off-season. The Habs are probing the market for a second-line center, hoping to lock one in before July 1st as they reshape the bottom 6. Meanwhile, young forwards Joshua Roy and Samuel Blyes remain without contract offers, leaving their next season's status unresolved.
La Nadia, the women's sports bar in O'Shea-HGA, has thrown open its doors again, this time with a brand new outdoor patio. After a brief closure, the space returns as Montreal's only gathering spot where women can cheer, chat, and watch the game together. Inside, the walls still echo with the roar of hockey and the clink of glasses, while the patio invites sunrise brunches and sunset matches under string lights. And with the new patio, families can enjoy game day vibes while the neighborhood buzzes with fresh optimism. Neighbors say the bar has become a hub for friendship, fitness groups, and local teams looking for a supportive cheering squad. It's a reminder that when we lift each other up, the whole city feels the energy. Stay tuned for an uplifting tale of a formerly homeless man who secured a subsidized apartment right here in Montreal.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From City Hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on gmna for the local Sunset, Montreal's evening newscast.
A free outdoor concert celebrating National Indigenous Peoples Day is underway in Cabot Square, featuring Indigenous musicians, dancers, and cultural workshops for the community. The event brings together families and visitors to enjoy live performances and learn about Indigenous heritage. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, CJ Waterhouse. I'm standing on the cracked stone of Cabot Square, the corner of Lambert Closs and Ste. Catherine West, where a swirl of bright banners flutter over a modest stage. The air smells of fresh coffee and summer grass, and a steady drumbeat rolls out from the Hello Crows as they tune their guitars. Families gather on blankets, kids dart between vendor stalls selling handmade jewelry and smoked salmon, while the Cinque family hoop dancers rehearse their graceful circles. At 3 p.m., Leonard Sumner steps forward, his voice echoing against the surrounding apartments, and the crowd leans in. Later, Elder Canasoan shares stories beside a soap carving workshop where participants shape soft bars into tiny totems. The event, organized by Pop Montreal with the Native Women's Shelter of Montreal and Resilience Montreal, offers a free celebration of National Indigenous Peoples Day, highlighting music, dance, and culture for anyone passing through. This gathering reminds us that Indigenous traditions are not only remembered, they are lived and shared in the heart of the city. Carl Dumont virtually at Cabot Square.
On a bright Saturday afternoon in the Plateau Mont-Royal, a group of high school volunteers gathered beneath the shade of an old maple to transform an empty lot into a pop-up garden. Led by 12-year-old Maya, whose grandparents taught her the art of composting, the students spread reclaimed wood benches, planted tomatoes, basil, and bright marigolds, and hung a hand-painted sign that reads Community Roots. A local bakery donated fresh croissants, and the scent of warm butter mingled with the earthy aroma of fresh soil, drawing curious neighbors out of their apartments. As the garden took shape, an elderly resident named Monsieur Lefevre shared stories of his childhood garden in the 1960s, offering tips on pruning and reminding the youngsters that patience yields the sweetest fruit. By sunset, the lot buzzed with laughter, the soft strum of a guitar, and the first bite of a sun-kissed strawberry. The garden will stay open every weekend, a living reminder that when we plant hope together, the city itself feels a little brighter. It's moments like these that keep Montreal's heart beating strong.
In Dollar des Ormeaux, a quiet suburb on Montreal's West Island, the rain that fell on June 20th left more than 6,000 households still waiting for power. The streets, usually lined with maple trees, were now edged with sandbags and the soft glow of flashlights spilling onto sidewalks. Neighbors gathered at the community center, where a retired electrician set up a makeshift charging station from an old generator, while a local bakery delivered warm croissants to families whose ovens remained cold. One vivid scene unfolded on Rue Saint-Pierre. A mother of 3, clutching a rain-soaked newspaper, watched her youngest daughter hand draw a picture of a sun that still shone in the sky. The child's grin widened when a volunteer handed her a small lantern, its amber light flickering like a promise. By evening, dozens of households had enough charge to call loved ones, and the shared laughter echoed through the hallway of the center. It's a reminder that even when the lights go out, the spirit of the neighborhood stays bright.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us on the lunch break. Today's story about a formerly homeless man finding a home in a subsidized apartment reminded us of the power of community support. Stay tuned tomorrow for more stories that matter. I'm CJ Waterhouse, wishing you a great afternoon.